Welcome back to our series on Sallen Key active filters. In part 3, we'll take a look at how to design higher order filters such as 4th or 5th order systems that have much faster roll-off rates. I'm Professor Fiore, and I'll explain it all to you right now. All right, folks, let's get into part 3 of our Sallen Key active filters, where we talk about filters with orders, roll-off rates, greater than 2. In other words, roll-off rates that would be 60, 80 dB per decade, something like that. So 3rd order, 4th order, 5th order filters, so that you can have a much narrower transition band. In other words, going from the pass band to the stop band much quicker. All right? So what's the same? What's different? Essentially, the process that we looked at in the first 2 videos in this sequence is unchanged in that it's still a 3-step process of identifying a template and then going through an appropriate frequency scale and finally an impedance scale. None of that changes. The whole business about, is it Butterworth and Bessel and Chebyshev? Is there a case of F, in other words, along with your damping factor? That doesn't change. Now, it's not the case, NOT, not the case, that we're just going to see, page after page after page of new template. Instead, everything is built on second-order circuits. Now, mathematically, it's possible to use a single op-amp to create, a 5th-order filter, but it turns out that they're not particularly stable. So, they get kind of touchy when you do that. I've designed some using like 3rd order with single op amps that work okay, but the process I'm going to show you here is sort of a time-tested, proven thing that essentially uses 2nd order blocks. So if you want a 4th order filter, you're going to use 2 2nd order blocks. You want a 6th order filter, you're going to use 3 2nd order blocks. If you want like a 3rd or a 5th, there's also a 1st order block. So you would have, for example, on a 5th order filter, you'd have 2 2nd order blocks and then this 1st order block, okay? And I'll show you those in just a sec. The way you approach this is that you treat each of these blocks as a separate filter design. In other words, the way we did in the first 2 videos. Each block is going to have its own damping factor and its own, possibly, its own frequency scaling factor. Not necessarily the same as what you saw in the second. In other words, as you'll see in a moment, you do not, and this is really important, you do not cascade 2 identical 2nd order filters to get the 4th order version of that. So if I have, let's say, a 100 hertz high pass filter, 2nd order, I don't take 2 of them, 100 hertz 2nd order and another 100 hertz 2nd order, identical component values, and just put them in series and say, oh, I now have a 4th order. It doesn't work that way. The way to remember that is at your 3 dB down point, right, each block would be down -3. So each block would be 3 dB down at 100 hertz, meaning it would actually be 6 dB down at 100 hertz. So that your 3 dB down point would be an entirely different frequency. You have a 4th order filter in that case, but it's not at the frequency that you expect. And it's not necessarily at the alignment that you expect. You put 2 Butterworths together or 2 Bessels together or, 2 whatevers together. You don't necessarily come up with that same alignment, right? The same net damping on the whole circuit. And that's what we care about. So when we do the design, and we're going to look at a 4th order, so that's going to use a pair of 2nd order blocks. You will discover that the damping factors will be different for each one. As a matter of fact, neither of them will be the damping for a 2nd order. Right? You might recall that the damping for a 2nd order Butterworth is 1.414. It's the square root of 2. That won't be the case when we look at the 4th order. So you think of this 4th order filter really is 2 independent 2nd order designs that you then put in series. Generally speaking, it doesn't matter which one comes before the other. You just make 2 of them, you do 2 designs, you stick them together, Off you go. That's simple. Okay? All right. Your templates. Hey, these should look familiar, right? These are your basic low-pass second-order templates. We saw these before, equal component and unity gain. The new one over here is the first-order section. So it's just an op amp with resistor capacitor. That's it. Okay? Notice there's no divide by, alpha divided by whatever, right? None of that. And then we look at the high pass, same thing. So these are not new, equal component, unity gain. Again, there's a first order section. All right. Now, the data that you get comes on a very big table. And again, this is going to be hard to see in the video, but this takes up a whole page in the textbook. So grab the textbook. Again, it's a plug here. I'm going to give you a plug, free textbook, download it, 600 pages of op-amp goodies. You will find this table in there. All right. So you've got your damping factor and your frequency factor for each of the chunks that you're going to use. So we're going to use a fourth order filter, right? So here's the first second order section. Here's another second order section. If you're going to do a fifth order filter, here's a second order, a second order, and a first order section. Okay. Off you go. So you think of this as filter design number 1, filter design number 2. Over here, filter design number 1, filter design number 2, filter design number 3. There's no damping on the first order sections. You just have to monkey with the frequency factor, right? The K sub F. All right? Okay. So we are going to look at a fourth order Butterworth 1 kilohertz high pass equal component filter. That's going to be our design. Now, before I do that, I do want to look at something. I warned you that you don't put together two identical second orders. So this is essentially something we did, I think this was back in the first video. This is a second order 1 kilohertz Butterworth alignment high pass filter. I have two of them. This one and this one, they are identical. This is a fourth order filter, but it's not a 1 kilohertz filter. And it's not necessarily a Butterworth filter. Let's do a quick AC analysis to prove the point. Open this up. All right, so there's definitely some passband gain here, as we expected. And it does look like it's rolling off pretty quick, right? I mean, fourth order would be 20 dB per decade, so per order, so that would be like 80 dB down, which, this is sitting down here at like, well, that's 60, 70 some odd down, and then we're getting nearly 10 in the passband, so that looks like an 80 dB change, so it definitely looks like it's, fourth order, right? Well, the passband gain over here is sitting at about 8 dB, so our 3 dB down point would be 3 dB down from that. 8 minus 3 is 5, advanced mathematics here on video. So 5 dB is right about there. Well, that's at 1.25 kilohertz. Sorry, doesn't work. Where are we at 1 kilohertz? Right, we're about, 1.9, call it 2, right? We're about 2 dB down. Well, we were at 8. 2. This is a 6 dB down point, right? That's what I told you. Because in this case, 3 dB down at 1 kilohertz for this, 3 dB down at 1 kilohertz for this, net result, 6 dB down. That's not a 3 dB down point, right? We don't define filters by their 6 dB down point. So it's a fourth order filter, but this is not a second order Butterworth, this is not a fourth order 1 kilohertz Butterworth high pass filter, right? It's a fourth order filter, it's high pass, but you don't get there by taking 2 second orders and just cascading them, okay? All right, so we wanted to do this fourth order design, okay? So again, first thing to do, we want to find the high pass equal component blocks, okay? So here's my high pass equal component blocks. This should be familiar from our preceding work, right? I'm not going to go switching back and forth like I did last time, give you whiplash. All we really need to do is pull the values from the table, which I've already done. Okay, so here's section 1 and section 2. So it's fourth order. There's 2 of these. So the first table says our damping for the first section is 1.848. It's Butterworth, so the K sub F is going to be 1. For the second section, notice the damping here is less than unity. It's only 0.765. So it's the combination of these two things that's going to give us a net 3 dB down at the 1 kilohertz. Okay, again, K sub f is 1. So we can immediately figure out the RF values, 2 minus alpha. So 2 minus the damping factor of 1.848 gives us 0.152. And on the second group, right, the second section, that's 2 minus the 0.765, and that gives us 1.235. Now we have to do the frequency translation. Again, these are Butterworth. K sub f is 1, so this is a one-step thing. 2 pi times 1k. You should have this memorized by now. That's 6283 radians per second. Okay. So again, remember FC is 1 over 2 pi RC. So to do the frequency translate, pick a component. Again, I'm going to use the resistors. Like I said, it's easy to get weird sized resistors, 1% tolerance. Easier to find the resistors in the caps. So I want to leave those caps at, unity value 1. So anyway, we divide the resistors out. We get these crazy tiny values, right? Milliohms. Third step, impedance scale by 10 to the 8th. Bring the resistance up by 10 to the 8th. Bring the caps down by 10 to the 8th. Okay, it's in the same case. So we end up with these 1592s for the resistors and 10 nanofarads. And then we'll just scale the RI and RF values by 10 to the 4th by 10,000. And that'll give us reasonable values for RI and RF. And here we go, right? So, all right, the cap and resistor values, they should look familiar to you from what we did before, but notice the damping, the gains on these things are not the same as what we did in that sort of double second order thing that we did, all right? So this is a fourth order, and this should be a Butterworth. It will have passband gain, but we're going to find the relative 3 dB down point, all right? So, AC analysis, let's go. What do we got? Okay, that looks pretty nice. Notice nice and flat. Quick roll off, okay? We are above here by, our passband gain is sitting up at around 8.2. And here's minus 80, and this would be 70 right here, minus 60, minus 70. So that's about minus 72 plus the 8, that's 80 dB per decade. Looking great. All right. Okay. So again, that's, like I said, about 8.2. So 3 dB down from that's going to be about 5.2. And if we did this correctly, that should come out at right about 1 kilohertz. And there you go. 1K, 5.19, so 5.2. Beautiful. How can you complain about that? So this is a 1 kilohertz fourth order Butterworth high pass filter. Boom, right? So it's twice as much work as doing a second order because you got 2 blocks, but that's the way you should think of it. Think of it as 2 separate blocks. So you want to do a 6th order Bessel? Well, it's going to be 3, second order blocks. So it's like doing 3 filters and then cascading them. You'll get the same response if you put this one in the front and this one in the back. It's pretty much the same thing. And if you don't believe me, just swap these 2 resistors, right? Because the tuning resistors and caps are the same on these 2 things. Like I said, if with a Bessel or Chebyshev, that might not be the case because not only would the damping factors change, you might also have different K sub f values for those different sections, all right? But in any case, that's just the way it worked out for this particular design. So that wraps up our basic Sallen Key. So I hope after all of this, you realize that these Sallen Key filters are really quite useful. They're easy to design. You just follow this little recipe, this little 3-step recipe, right? Find the template that you need. Once you've defined the filter parameters themselves, I need a high pass, I need a third order, I need a Butterworth, whatever it is, you find the template. That's step 1. Step 2, you do your frequency translation. Step 3, you do your impedance translation to get reasonable values, right? Because you don't, like I said, you don't want a 1 farad cap over here and a 0.15 milliohm resistor for this. That would be kind of nuts. All right, that would be totally crazy. All right, filters, filters, filters. There is, by the way, I should have mentioned this earlier. There is. If you haven't seen it in the playlist, there is an overall sort of overview video of this. So if you're a little overwhelmed by watching this, you might want to go back and take a look at that just to kind of catch sort of the big picture. I always like to kind of go back and sort of review things. I think it's a good way of sort of cementing what you have. I always thought it would be a good idea, after somebody took a course, a particular course, that you would do sort of a mini version of that course later, like a semester or two later, so that, while you're going through a course, you don't necessarily have a good idea of where you're headed, right? You can't really see the forest for all the trees. But now that you've completed it, you have a better appreciation. So it's kind of doing this sort of shortened, accelerated version would maybe connect the dots a little better, make things a little bit more solid in your brain. So you can do the same thing here. You can go back and look at this introductory active filter video that I made, and that would kind of hit all the main points. It wouldn't go through the detail like these designs, but it would touch all the important bases. All right. Okay. So in any case, I hope you found this useful. These Sallen Key filters are very popular and for good reason. So tip your hat to Sallen Key, right? All right. This is Professor Fiore saying, till next time, take care. Have a good one.